Hello, Musto0063 back here to continue on with the Mega Man 11 Robomaster Perfect runs. The last stage was pretty easy, wasn't it? What was completing Tundra on my first attempt. Well, let's just hope I haven't peaked too early though, and end up running into a brick wall. Speaking of, we're going after Block next. So I guess I'll repeat this at the start of every stage, but with my having already done a Let's Play, and with those being in separate videos, I'll put a link to those in the description, a reminder that I may not commentate all the time over these perfect runs, as I've similarly done with others, but more chime in to let you know about a screen that gave me trouble, or if there's a particular strategy for getting to an area that I think is worth sharing. Which brings us to this screen. Absolutely nothing difficult about it whatsoever, and yet somehow on one occasion I managed to not only miss the second air stone that spawns in, but then proceed to get hit to one of the stones that flings out. Fantastic. That was easily the most embarrassing outtake I had on this level. Next mess up spot. The first version of the Totema sub-boss. Extremely clumsy on my part. I tried to get a little bit too greedy with regard to attacking it by getting up too close to it, and one of the pillars flew up into me. Yeah, what can I say? Way too greedy, and I learnt my lesson to stay away from him when he's fully formed in the corner of the screen from then on. So no mess ups here to speak of, but probably worth pointing out that it is a good idea to be in the air when the wall slams down behind you. You'll avoid getting stunned, and you'll be able to get through the block wall puzzles much more quickly. And indeed, if you're sufficiently quick, you'll only have to get through one here. Now this screen causes a few problems. The section toward the top where the lyrics keep spawning in to be specific. With the conveyor belts and falling blocks to contend with, it's easy to deprioritise taking out the lyrics quickly, but leave them on screen for too long, and like me, you can easily find yourself getting cornered by them. And okay, I mentioned being embarrassed by an airstone enemy at the beginning of the level, but this one is not to be overlooked. It appears to be having to shoot it while descending from your jump, which makes it harder to hit. That is what makes this one more of a threat. And sure enough, I missed killing this thing twice, on successive attempts as it happened, and got simply overrun by the circling shield enemy, the airstone itself, and falling blocks behind me. And clearly not a good set of screens back to back, as we also had two outtakes on the second Totema sub-boss. Obviously the conveyor belt is what causes the problems here, and so after not having an especially good time with it, you'll see that I started to stick to the edges of the screen where possible to give myself some assured footing. That strategy seemed to work out pretty well, albeit at the expense of this fight taking a little bit longer than it otherwise might have done. Yay! Didn't manage to save the one up during my Let's Play. Thankful I caught the opportunity to show that off here. So excuse me for a moment while I miss literally every single shot on this rolling shield enemy, but the good thing at least is that you can hide down the ladder out of harm's way, should your timing be as lousy as mine was here. So again, be in the air here to avoid getting stunned, and you'll get through the block puzzle walls quicker. I think it's possible to only encounter one here, while only using the Mega Buster, but I couldn't pull that off. And that would have been handy on the one occasion when I messed up getting through the second wall block puzzle. It really isn't that bad at all, I just seemed to have a nightmare that one time out. And here's my last trouble spot in the level. Like the first of these vertical scrolling screens, a couple of outtakes toward the top of them, this time not so much down to the lyrics, but blocks falling on my head. Like what almost happened to me there. Yeah, that was way too close for comfort. So with apologies for spoiling outtakes on the Robomaster, or lack thereof, it's probably pretty obvious this was my first time reaching this point, with, as I said, the last little failures coming on the previous screen. I'm very slow when it comes to progressing past the falling blocks, and sometimes, like here, I'm waiting before a gap where there isn't even a falling block. That all just stems from a lack of familiarity with specific details of the stage. It's not like I forget a particular screen exists or anything, but more just I couldn't tell you where every enemy or obstacle is positioned that I think I genuinely could do with pretty much every other classic Mega Man game. Okay, already just mentioned I had no outtakes of Blockman, and thank goodness for that. I did mess up on enjoying my Let's Play, but happily not when going for perfect runs. His first phase, and third for that matter, is a joke. Simply keep shooting at him, slide away from him when he jumps towards you, and then find one of the many gaps in the set of blocks he drops from the ceiling. His second Golem phase actually does require some learning and an appreciation of what attack he's going to do. You see a slam coming, head to the corner. See a punch coming, move a little away from the corner, and you see a ground sweep, initially stay in the corner, but move a little away once you see the blocks materialise. Get that sorted in your head, and this part is actually relatively easy too. And this third phase, which I already mentioned as a joke, simply requires you to keep jumping over the sets of blocks you send in your direction. All in all, not a difficult fight whatsoever. So again, no transition from Let's Play to Perfect Run, but do please enjoy the awesome 8-bit stage music before we get to the difficulty analysis. So that's the second stage out of the way. During my Let's Play, I actually said Blockman would be a good first candidate for me if I ended up doing perfect runs. That was of course before I accidentally got a perfect run on Tundra Man, so that did change my thinking slightly, but he's still the second one that I ended up going after, so I clearly didn't think he was going to be too bad. In all honesty though, this actually proved to be a teensy bit more difficult than I had anticipated. It took me 45 minutes to get the successful perfect run on Blockman, and I suffered 11 outtakes along the way, although none on the Robot Master. Bar maybe the second incarnation of the sub-boss, I don't think there's anything in my level that I'd expect to frequently trip someone up on. There are some sections of the level that are easy to mess up. I'd highlight the two vertical scrolling screens with the periodically falling blocks, where it's easy to get cornered by the lyrics, and that one screen where I mentioned I missed shooting the spawning eye enemy before he got to attack me, but none of these sections should consistently pose a problem. I didn't have a run-in to any one screen on more than 2 occasions. Totoma the sub-boss can be a little tricky though, particularly the second time around thanks to that conveyor belt. If that sounds weird, especially as Totoma is completely cyclical, and I spent a good portion of the last video saying how easy Tundra Man is, the reason why I think this sub-boss is harder is owing to the lack of space you are afforded when it breaks apart. With Tundra Man, there are many ways to dodge him, and he only ever occupies a tiny proportion of the screen, so you have lots of room to manoeuvre. Not so with Totema. You need to appreciate where the gaps are going to be and be mindful of the conveyor belt, often with little room to manoeuvre. All that being said, however, I still only got hit 3 times to it in total, once on the first version, which was admittedly pretty bad on my part, and twice on the second version, so it's not terrible or anything. As for Blockman, it's only the second phase of this fight that poses anything resembling a threat, and once you know how to deal with that, he's rather straightforward. During his first phase, all he'll do is jump over you and drop 4 bricks down from the ceiling, with a pretty spacious gap between all the blocks that is not difficult to position yourself in at all. And skipping ahead a tad, during his third phase, all he'll do is move to one corner of the screen and keep throwing blocks at you, that despite being in a variety of patterns, which is nice I suppose, you can simply just repeatedly jump over. It can be a little trickier to actually hit Blockman during this phase, as you'll only really be able to get him once he's at the height of a jump, but don't lose your patience, and this is a cinch. That second phase, where he Power Gear transforms into a golem, is the only potentially tricky part, and I will happily confess that when I first played the game, before I got used to his phase and could predict his attacks, he absolutely kicked my arse, since he does do a crap ton of damage to you in golem form. But once you know what move he's going to do based on his arm movements, this shouldn't cause too many problems either. If he motions to punch you, move away from the wall. If he motions to slam the ground, hug the wall, and if he motions to hurl blocks at you, stay in the corner initially and then move slightly away from the wall when the blocks actually materialise. Reasonably simple, as with the rest of the fight. I was still in a pretty happy mood at this point in time. Yeah, this actually took a little longer than I'd expected, but not considerably so. And I think the fact that no one section of the stage was consistently tripping me up helped with regard to me not getting frustrated with it. All things considered, I give Blockman stage a 3 out of 10. As said, not a gimme of a level by any means, but there's not really anything that's going to cause a mountain of problems, bar perhaps the second version of the sub-boss. Nearly all the outtakes I suffered felt like me being clumsy rather than me being faced with anything hugely difficult, and Blockman, once you get a handle on his golem phase, is pretty easy, given that his first and third phases are more or less a complete joke. So, 2 down, 6 to go. Things have gone quite nicely so far, and I've been having a lot of fun. So tune in next time to find out if I'll still be having a blast. Cheerio.